Welcome to Meet the Healer of Healers. And it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce my teacher, Triz. I'll let Triz tell you a little bit about herself, but I will tell you that I probably have not met a more enlightened being on this planet. It's just wow that she's here with us today. So thank you, Triz, and please take it away.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for introducing me to all these people, these beautiful people. My name is Triz Remedios, or Beatriz Remedios, actually, Beatriz Maria Antonio dos Remedios. An inkling into who I am begins with my name, Beatriz. Beatriz is the bringer of joy, and dos Remedios is remedy of God. So that's how I began my life, with this very big name. How I got my title, Healer of Healers, is really about what happened as I began this walk in healing. My focus as I was growing up was in music, and I believe that music is the greatest healer because it is about frequency. And so I thought I focused in the music world, but that's not where my life led. And so when I started working with an Eskimo healer, he brought me to different indigenous tribes, and the healers of those tribes were in pain. A lot of them were really suffering. And so I would do my thing. And of course, my thing was very much in instruments that I would say man-made. So the gongs and the Peruvian vessels and flutes and drums and those kinds of tools. And at the time, I didn't understand indigenous ways. But after each session I would have with these healers, they would offer me tobacco. And I was not a smoker and still not a smoker, and didn't understand what tobacco meant. And tobacco is an offering you give to a teacher in the indigenous tribes. And so from working with the healers, I got the title Healer of Healers. It's a big title. I try not to overuse it too much, but it's a wonderful way to walk on this earth. So what is healing? In the concepts we have in the world, we think of healing as we get better. So whatever ails us, that ailment disappears. And as I walk as a healer, I've noticed that healing is not necessarily a disease that goes away, but rather as something opens up. So if the disease brings you to a pathway that is correct for you to walk in, that's a healing. It's hard as a healer to not fall into that paradigm of, I'm going to cure you. When miracles happen in front of you, it's so amazing. It's just so amazing. I use tuning forks, and the tuning forks are a reminiscence of Tibetan bowls. And the tuning fork, a woman comes to me and says, do your tuning fork thing on me. I hear I have a headache. What she said was, I have a tumor behind my eye and I'm going for an operation. I don't want to lose it. I do my tuning fork thing and I see a mass of gray come off her head, and visible, see it like smoke disappearing. And I think, oh, she had a bad headache. That's what I think. She comes and she says, I'm coming back every day until my surgery. I don't hear that. I hear, I'm going to come back every day until I can maintain it. So I'm like, great. So she comes back every day. On the last day, which is about a week, the last day she went straight from my place to the hospital. In half an hour, she called me up, so excited. She said, they can't find the tumor. I said, what tumor? Because I thought she had a headache. And she said, the tumor, I've been here because I've had tumor behind my eye. It's cancerous. They wanted to take my eye. So I was like, well, that's great. I'm so happy for you. Then her question was, what do I do now? And there lies the question. What do I do now? So the healing happens. It's like, walk your path. Where do you want to be? What do you need to do? Who are you? These are questions that help us walk the path that we're meant to walk. So a miracle happens. It happens every single day. And often people ask me, well, how do miracles happen? I want miracles to happen for me. I'm pretty sure miracle happens in your life every day as well. You just don't title it miracle. You think, oh, that's so interesting. The way you look at life. Life force is exactly what we need in order to see the miracles, in order to allow miracles to happen. The very first time I went to Karen's house, I asked her, what do you want? And she said to me, I want the perfect cleaning lady. And I said, okay, that's what she asked for. Then I went in and I worked on her husband. And when I came out about an hour or so later, she said, I got the perfect cleaning lady. And I said, great. And that's a miracle. How did that happen? When you have an intent, and I was very specific with Karen. I asked her, well, what makes a perfect cleaning lady? And Karen was very specific. She needs to be this. I would like maybe a pair or a single person, but not a whole team. I need them to know what to do. As you make it more and more specific, the energetic lines for that to happen, it opens up. It opens up. And then you have to let go. You have to let go. You have to have an action. So that means you have to call someone. That action opens it up, but not necessarily. You don't have to. Sometimes they just come, sometimes, but you have to do something. The defining of what you want is called your intent. What's your intent? When you start with your intent and you put it out in the world, in other words, you speak the words, I want, whatever that is, it lays the groundwork for it to come. Then you do an action, make a phone call, send it out to the world, whatever it is. Allow it to come. So first you send it out, let it go. Then when it comes, it's accepting it, recognizing it, and saying, As you make your intent, you clear the path. When you clear a path, life force comes in. So what is that life force? Some people call it prana. Some people call it chi, ki. The many, many words for life force. How do you feel life force? How do you bring it in? How do you do it? Intent begins the process of bringing in life force. When you say, I'm tired, I need more energy. I need more energy. I want more energy. So you say the words, I want more energy. Now what? You have to ground yourself. The earth is the conduit through which we bring life force. So when I say ground yourself, everyone has their idea what ground yourself means. It actually means shifting your focus into the earth. Focus into the earth. When you get to the core of the earth, it should change your internal state. You should feel really hot. You should feel hot. Because in the center of the earth is an iron core, and you have to go through all this molten lava thing. And it's hot. If you don't feel hot, you haven't gotten there. Some people say, wow, Triz, you have a really good imagination. And I do. I really have a great imagination. Imagination is not a bad thing. It is the beginning of moving through the physical form. When I focus into the center of the earth, like now, I get hot. I get hot. And it changes my body state. My physical body is a reflection of where my energy is. So it's going to tell me, I did it, or no, I didn't. If nothing changes here on the physical body, I didn't do it. It's just a thought. You cannot do it with a thought. The thought is the guiding tool. So you focus your energy into the earth. When you reach the middle of the earth, your body will register that. If you go past the center of the earth to the other side, you'll end up out in space, right? And as you're out in space, energy can swirl around and you can bring it in through the top of your head. So bring energy in through the top of your head. As you connect through the top of the head, you go down through the earth, up to the other side, and back around the top of your head. Now you are connected to the earth. This is grounded. When you are connected to the earth this way, the energetic flow of life force goes up, goes down, and goes all around. Your mind directs what energy you like to, it's really the same energy, but what direction you like to focus on. Some people love it when energy goes up. So they use their mind to bring energy up and out. Some people really like energy going down to the earth. So you focus in your mind, the energy coming down through the top of your head, through the body, into the earth. Life force increases when we remove blocks. What is a block? A block is a pattern that we've held in our field that is no longer serves us. And those patterns can be anything from trauma you receive whenever, the very most happy moment in your life is also a fixed pattern. It can be something that you were born with, which is your ancestral lines. That means you're living the ancestral pattern. It can be a movie you saw that scared you. It can be a story somebody told you that sticks with you. This is where we lose life force. It can even be someone you love. So partners are really hard on life force because we love them. And so we give them whatever. It can be our children, our husbands, our wives, our pets. Pets are a different story though, because they give it right back. So when we look at, where am I losing my life force? You ask yourself the question. If 100% of life force comes in every moment of every day to make this being, this body, 100%, where does that 100% go? Where do you put it? Do you take 100% of life force for this body? Or do you give it away to a memory? Or give it away to someone you love? Do you give it away to an idea that you don't like? Or do you give it away to a fight that you want to fight against? What do you do with that life force? Do you keep it for yourself or do you give it away? And how much of it do you use to keep this happening, this body happening? How much of it do you use? So if I say to you, 100% of life force comes in for me, well, how much life force comes in for you? 100% comes in for you. And for every single person, 100% comes in for each person. Where does it go? So I look at my sister, who's really quite sick today, and 100% of life force comes in for her. And she says, help me. Okay. So, like they don't just say, help me. They go, help me. Right. And it just pulls your heartstring. So do I give her my life force? I can't. She has 100% of life force. She simply needs to use it. So where is she not using her 100%? I know her story. So I know she gave some of that life force to my brother. I know that. And he's still alive. But now they're both in the same circumstance. Isn't that interesting? Whatever happened to him is now happening to her. I'm like, hello. And I know he's in the place where he's at because he is living an ancestral line. Well, clear the line. No, he's not clearing the line. So he's living it. Okay. And so now she's living it. Do I sit by? No, I do what I do, which is I pray. I mean, really, it comes down to I pray. And so what do I pray for? I pray that the blocks that they have is released. And because I come from the same family, I can see those blocks. And so what do I do with that? When I see it, I clear it. And how do I clear it? Well, mainly is I let go. I let go. And so how do I let go? And that's a really big question. How do you let go of something? Some people need to identify it, what the it is, and some people don't. When I identify, oh, it's this, and I let go there. Let go means to exhale, to relax it. So think of a pattern and then you relax it. It opens up. And that opening up releases life force so you can use it. A very personal story. My grandmother on my mother's side lost a leg. My brother's having a leg issue. My sister's having a leg issue. She's going to lose her leg. So I went and prayed. I realized, oh, I have never worked with this grandmother. Let me go inward. Let me pray and say, grandmother, please, let go of the pattern. Let go of the pattern. The grandmother is not in physical form. She doesn't have to hold no leg. So I cleared the line down the leg. I clear the line down the leg. I use herbs. I use sound. I use a focusing tool. How do you focus into that? And I work on myself, my leg. I work down my leg. What happened is the leg is getting better. Oh, wow. However, she is in the hospital and they did something. It wasn't supposed to work. They're like, no, we'll try, but it's not going to work. And guess what happened? It works. It's working. So I know what happened. I cleared the leg. I cleared the leg from my grandmother who lost the leg. It's an ancestral pattern. And that freed life force to flow, frees life force to flow. If you want to change a physical ailment, a mental ailment, a spiritual ailment, whatever the disease is, you have to increase your life force. That's the bottom line. You have to increase life force. Life force changes the frequency with which you live in. The change of frequency would change your perspective. The change of perspective allows you to shift. It allows you to shift on the physical, on the emotional, on the mental, and on the spiritual plane. Sounds easy, right? Takes practice. That's all it takes. Practice. Okay. So what do I practice? I practice letting go. That's my practice. I practice making my awareness, increasing my awareness. So our perimeter, which is our sphere of awareness, is what we focus on. And when you fill that sphere of awareness with life force, your perspective changes, your emotion changes, your thoughts change. A lot of people want to change the thought form, so they just say the opposite. I'm a good person. I'm a whatever. I'm so pretty. I'm whatever it is that you want to change. And so they just use the opposite. But the thoughts are signals that tell us how much life force we have. So say you're feeling down. You just feel down. And you say, well, I don't want to feel down. That's called setting an intent. I don't want to feel down. So now, instead of trying to deal with, well, why am I down and what keeps me down and how come I'm upset, instead of dealing with those, not that you don't have to, but you want to increase your life force in order to deal with the issues. You use your breath. Your breath is the key to bringing life force in. But it's not just breathe in. It's not. It's very specific breath. Think of life force as the bubbles or the cream on top of the milk, or bubbles in your air. You have to sip it off the top. You have to sip it and you have to pull it in. You have to pull it in. It's not a big breath. It's actually a very slow, controlled breath. And you have to feel like you're sipping in. If you place the tip of your tongue behind the top of your front teeth, and if you have no teeth, it's where the teeth would meet. It's the same spot. It's on the go. Then you breathe in slowly. Breathe in slowly. So take a moment, place your tongue behind, put your feet flat on the floor, then very slowly inhale. And then exhale. Ask yourself the question, what did you feel? Because the physical body will register for you whether you've increased your life force or you did nothing. If you feel lightheaded, you did a good job. If you feel tingly, yes, you got it. If you feel more relaxed, you're beginning. So now with your mind, you can pull in that life force and direct it to someplace. So say you have a pain in your elbow. You bring in that life force and you direct it to your elbow. So place the tongue, breathe in. Now direct it to the elbow or wherever you have pain. And slowly exhale. Ask yourself, how's that pain? Is it still there? Did you notice a difference? What happened? These kinds of questions brings your awareness. It increases the awareness that you have in your body. And it increases the amount of life force you're aware that you have. When you pay attention to something, it grows. Quantum physicists know this. If you look at it, you're going to change it. So when you look at life force, it will grow. If you're not paying attention to it, it diminishes. The more you pay attention to life force, the more life force you will have, the more access to life force you will have. When I was in my 30s, they told me I would be living in a wheelchair. I had pain all over my body. And so, it's pretty hard when you're 30 and someone says you're going to be in a wheelchair. And so I was laying in bed, flipping channels, and this program came on. And I thought it was an infomercial. And it was a man, and he came on and he said, "Are you in pain?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Are you flipping channels to find something to reduce your pain?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I have the answer for you." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, give it to me." And he said, "Find where on your body you have no pain. One spot. And so I'm like, I was in a lot of pain. So I was like, tip of my nose, no, that hurt. And found the tip of my little finger. I said, there's no pain here. And then he goes, got it? And I said, yeah, I got it. And he goes, grow that. Focus there. And I grew it. I focused there and it grew. And then he said, notice as you're growing it, the pain is focused. There's 1 or 2 spots where your pain is. That's where you're going to work to shift whatever you need. I was like, great. There was no call this number, buy this. That was it. And then he was gone. And I was like, wow. So then I started practicing. And I noticed, wow. I said, what kind of infomercial is that? They didn't sell anything. However, it shifted my entire life. Grow, focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. And when you do that, life force increases there. If you focus on what you don't want, life force will increase there. We're so accustomed in our life of being critical. This is how we perfect ourselves, right? Oh, this is wrong. Don't do that. This is how we hone our skill. And then once you've honed skill to a certain level, now you have to focus on what you want. And when you focus on what you want, life force goes there and it grows and it grows. Sounds simple, right? Well, let's ask you if any questions.
I would love, first of all, I just love your energy. I so appreciate your time. It's so calming just to listen to you. But my question is when you feel resistance to letting go, because this is something I struggle with, when you know there's a part or something you need to let go of, and you practice releasing, but there's resistance to that. How do you get through that block to allow yourself to let go?
So sometimes the block is not where you think it is. That's number one. So it's like you have a pain in your neck. This is a great tool, body, right? You have a pain in your neck and you're trying to release the shoulder neck pain. But the place that's held is really the middle of your back. And when you release the middle of the back, this goes away. Or it's in your foot and you would need to release the foot before it lets go. So identifying where it's held, that's number one. Where is it held? Sometimes that pain in the neck, you know the story of you go to the doctor, you say, doctor, I get a sharp pain in my eye. And, as the doctor says, looks, sees nothing and says, how come? And he goes, every time I drink my coffee, and he goes, there's a spoon in the cup. And every time they drink, the spoon pokes them in the eye. And the doctor says, take the spoon out because that's what's poking in the eye. Sometimes we do something to create the pain. And so we're not realizing that that's what we're doing. So someone says to me, wow, my shoulders are just really, and I said, well, you're carrying something. What are you carrying? So it can be, if it's a physical thing, that's easy, take the load off the person. They're like, oh, I feel so much better. I don't have to carry that. But there's emotional things we carry. There's mental things we carry. There's titles that we carry that make it hard. Oh, I need to take that off. So it's identifying what's creating the tension that you can't let go of. So say a person has a tight stomach, okay? And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. It may have started down the line. In other words, mother carried it, grandmother carried it. And so you have to clear down the line in order for the body to physically release. There's so many ways to address something that a person can't let go. A good massage, a soak in a tub. So it's about relaxing the body, turning this off the brain. And sometimes it's increase your life force. It will let go because it doesn't belong in that next frequency. So frequencies come in these bands. So between this frequency, there might be this ailment, but when you move that up, there's not there, because it only lives down here. So you're trying to let go when really you need to fill yourself with more life force. It lets go because it doesn't belong in that upper frequency.
Yeah, that resonates. Thank you. Because mine's always been, I struggle with anxiety and overthinking a lot of the time. So mine resides a lot in my chest, like a anxious feeling a lot of the time. And so that resonates, the thought of just increasing life force so that that vibration or frequency doesn't exist in the neck plane.
So here's the question I have. Are you an empath?
I think to some degree, yes.
Yes, the answer is not I think. The answer is yes, I am. Okay.
I am.
So
yes.
then here's the next question. Is it your anxiety you're feeling or is it someone else's?
I think it's often mine.
See, and so therefore it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what if it is anxiety that you're feeling next door or downstairs or the person you cross the street? Just what if?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give it up? that it's not yours, that it could be someone else's, that you're registering, and now you claimed it as yours.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now go back to the very beginning when you started to feel anxious. Do you remember when that was?
Oh, it's been years. I don't know. I'm not sure I recall the beginning of it, but I know it began, a lot of it began when my mom passed away, which has been about 15 years.
All right. Okay. Very good. Your mom passed away. What happened when your mom passed away?
I took on a lot of responsibility at that time.
Yes. But you also took on her energetic lines.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to clear your mother's energetic lines in order to relax it, claim it as your own. Okay. In our world, we don't clear our energetic body. I don't know why, but we don't. And majority of people, when they die, our true inheritance are the energetic bodies of our parents. It comes on you. And when it does, it's a load. It doesn't come on, oh, so nice. It comes on, it's heavy. And it's filled with their life experience that they haven't cleared.
Mm.
And when someone goes through, especially a traumatic death or where they're afraid of dying, we inherit that too. So if you can clear that off your field, it will change how you register that.
Yeah, I just had a light bulb moment when you said taking on their lines, because she was always a very anxious, worried person, and like had a fear when she was sick of passing anyway and all these things. So I just feel like you just blew my mind just right there. Thank you. That's amazing.
That's how it works. So that's what you need to clear so that you can then use the energetic line. And this is why we get inheritance, is it makes us more. It makes us more. Okay. And so take away the anxiety that your mother carried so that you can use that line. Otherwise, you carry the anxiety forward.
Thank you. I'm processing that. That just, you blew my mind. I so appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm with Triz a lot, and she is always blowing my mind.
So my question is about using the Hooponopono prayer. And so I do Reiki on others and of course myself. So when there is a pain in the body, I can use that prayer then to send to that area and clear and release it through the using the Hooponopono.
So people always say, so here's the trap healers fall into. Okay. And you have to remember this. You're not a doctor.
No.
So you're not treating her arm or his arm. You're treating the being. Don't send the prayer to the arm, send the prayer to the being. Or simply say the prayer and do what you do.
Okay.
When you do that, the entire being shifts. And when the entire being shifts, that arm's going to be not an issue.
All right. That's good.
Okay. So change your focus. If you, like it's like someone says, I have a tumor, well, go to the doctor. They'll deal with the tumor. My job is to deal with the person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a tumor will release if the person's ready to release it. The being shifts no matter what happens to the tumor. In fact, this actually happened to me. Person said, I have a tumor. We tried to shift the tumor. It left, but it came back. It left, but it came back. And I'm like, oh, well, whatever. I don't try to. I mean, really, a tumor, you can go like this and pull it out. If it's ready to go, person's ready to go, it comes off, okay? That's life force. When it keeps coming back, it's not there. You think it's there, but it's not there, it's somewhere else. So we worked elsewhere. We worked down the line, we worked up the line, we looked sideways. And then she says, I have to go for my surgery. And I'm like, yes, you do. But the surgery was so different. It was so different for her because I was working on her and I kept her energy high and I kept her perimeter held. She came out of that surgery. She says, Triz, there's hardly anything. She goes, I don't feel pain. I don't feel bad. She goes, I actually feel relieved. I feel lighter. 2 days later, she's out about, please remember, you just went through surgery, rest, take the life force and fill yourself, shift yourself. And, a week later, she comes to me. She goes, the bruising's totally gone. I have full movement. There's nothing. Yes. She goes, it's so different because energy is higher. Then she was able to identify the tumor. That's where I put all my anger. And I couldn't let go. So now it's gone. Just, I don't feel it. I don't feel anymore. That anger. It's gone. It's amazing. That's a miracle.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
I have a question. I've been feeling very, very angry about what's happening to the people in Ukraine. And I also feel guilty about it because here I am living in a peaceful country, able to pursue what I want to pursue, and they're suffering so badly. And so I wondered if that has something to do with taking on the energy of what's happening to them. It may be harming my life force because I'm trying to start a business and I'm not successful right now. And I also have pain in my right hip in particular, in my lower back. I just wanted to ask about that.
What can you do?
The only thing I can think of doing is praying right now.
Okay. It's really powerful. Prayer is really powerful. Okay. So now, what are you praying for?
Well, I'm praying for the people in Ukraine for their protection. I'm praying that justice is done to the perpetrators. Also, I'm praying for some customers, some good customers in my business.
Here's a question. If you pray for protection for people and justice, now you've divided it, good and bad. And then now you want good customers. So I'm going to ask you to pray for peace on earth, okay? For resolution. So not that there's a good and a bad, but that there's a resolution, okay? So now, if you just think about resolution, peaceful resolution, just think about those words. What happens inside of you?
Relax.
You relax, okay? When you relax, more life force comes. The body has to relax. Your being has to relax in order to amplify that frequency. So your prayer, when you take that neutral path, which is here's the resolution, as opposed to let's pick sides. Let's have a resolution and let's have peace on earth. It begins with peace within. So if you get caught up in the fighting, now you're part of that fighting. And your body is telling you that, okay? It's going to magnify that frequency. So if you stand in a place of resolution and prayer, and let's focus on that, then that emanates forward. How does that feel?
It feels calming.
Okay, so now bring that life force into your being, fill yourself with that, and emanate that out into the world. The customers, whoever they are, whatever your business is, they're going to want that, right? And then they will come to you for that.
That makes sense.
People don't want anxiety. They don't want that unrest. They really want something that's going to calm them down. For you, if you hold that frequency, people will come for that, even if you're selling gemstones. So focus on what you want, what you need, and go out from there.
We're going to answer Chantel's question. Said, last year I went through a very difficult time and I want to know how to move past it, even though it still continues to happen, what I did to manifest it or bring it forward, and what can I do to stop it?
So it's still happening, correct? Yeah, still happening. Okay. So is it on the physical level, emotional level, mental level?
People abusing her, and it happened for a long time.
Can you get away? Not really. So you can't move away?
She says not really. She can't move away. She's tried, but they followed her, so her friends can't help her.
Have you called the police?
While we're waiting for Chantel's responses, just so everybody knows, Triz can do privates. I'm offering your services, Triz. Triz can do private sessions. She can also do them on Zoom. She's worked with all the members of my family, given them all private sessions.
It's amazing how it works through Zoom.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier to set intent is to voice it. So if I like journal every day, if I'm doing a gratitude journal and I set my intent in a journal, is that as effective as putting it in voice?
I don't believe so. I mean, people write, they write a lot. And when you speak it, it empowers it because the frequency of your words make an impact on your energetic field. The more concise that you make it, the better it is. A lot of times when people have intents, they make it so complex or carry so many things. that the energy, when it comes for it, is so much energy, they don't know what to do with it. So the receiving is like, if you ask for, can I have an apple? The apple that will come. And it's like, oh, here's the apple. You recognize it. But if you ask for the world, then it comes. But you have to be able to handle all that comes. So for Chantel, if you are in a physical danger, and this is my own preference, physical danger is don't be there. In other words, don't be there. If people are following you and they're harming you, I would say you need to go to the authorities for that. So there are different energetic levels. So how can you shift by going to the authorities? When you make a statement, these people are harming me, and you go to the appropriate people that can help you, that's the physical action of doing something. Then you take that moment where someone else is looking over you and you change your frequency. So I have many tools that help me. My most favorite tool, and people, they're going to laugh, but my favorite tool is a fan. So with a fan, I get rid of all the old. It's a fan. The edge of the fan, I think this is from being Oriental, right? When you see those movies and the woman, she has a fan. And the fan is an edge that's sharp. And I use that fan to cut the energetic signatures that are connected to me, or the conduits that are connected to me that are no longer service me. So I cut them. And then I swish them away with my fan. I use the fan a lot, as Karen can tell you. She's always fanning. Okay? And sometimes you can fan away the things that you don't want. For Chantel, the first thing you need to do is make a perimeter. A perimeter is a circle around yourself where you feel safe. And that's why I said, do you have friends? Friends are a community that is able to hold your being. Those are who your friends are. If your friends can't hold your being, or you don't have enough friends to hold your being, right there is, then you say, oh, I need to find a community that can hold me. Sometimes that's like safe places. We know it as communities that are already made. So churches have communities, schools have communities, places that you resonate with. So go to the places where you feel the best, build that community, and they will hold you in a way that nobody else holds you. You may have to create that community, which is you pick and choose the people that you feel safe with. As you are with them, you mimic or map their frequency. That's one way of changing your frequency, is you stand next to this person. I really love this person. I love the way this person feels. And you raise your frequency to match theirs. This is how we learn. I mean, if you think about how a person learns how to throw a ball or play the piano or something, hear and see someone do it, and they pretend, like, I'm going to do it just like that person. And it brings you to that place until you master it. And then you too have that. A lot of times, the people you hang, who's around you, their frequency, they're either mapping your frequency so they feel better, or you're mapping their frequency to feel better. When we talk about energy signatures, we're talking about how much life force a person holds. And it's not about capacity, but just how much runs through their system. So if someone is always down, it's hard to be with them. It's hard to be with them because it pulls your energy down. But if you're a dominant field, like if you're the dominant person, you'll notice it doesn't matter that they're down, their energy comes up to meet you because they want to be with you, or they'll go away. When you're dealing with trauma, what happens is your energy field contracts. And when it contracts, it actually calls in more abuse because it's got that signature. So you find a circle of friends to hold you so you can come out. And as you come out, you no longer resonate with that frequency. And then it no longer is a part of your life. But it first takes building a circle. When people are after you, the question, I mean, that's a very specific thing. You'd have to find out, well, who is that person? And then why are they after you? And why do you feel they're after you? And what do they do to you? So there's a lot of questions. The more questions, then this is how you deal with it. This is how you change your frequency. But if someone's hurting you physically, number one, don't be there. Don't be there. That's my first mode of defense. If someone's coming to punch you, you have to move, right? Don't stand there and take the punch. Don't be there. Number two, if you can't hold that perimeter, you have to have someone who can. Okay, that's a very serious thing when you're being abused. My first statement is always move if you can move. Don't be there.
I want to thank you very much for being here with us, and absolutely give Triz a call or text her if you want to get more help. She does, as I said, private sessions. I get to have the honor of having her as my teacher. So she's been teaching me about energy healing. So that's a whole other journey. And as Christy said, mind blowing.